بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Openings from Isolation, short reflections on the lockdown situation and the blessed month of Ramadan and how we might make adjustments and the most out of this month, inshallah. My apologies for not getting a video out this evening. It's been a long day at work, but also disorganization on my part. Can I just ask you to make dua for Sidi Nadim, who's been putting these videos together each day and chasing me. May Allah reward him. But that so we don't lose momentum and complete, inshallah, the intention of these short reminders. I just wanted to continue on the discussion of mindfulness and the Prophet ﷺ teaching Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas, ihfadillah, so being mindful of God. And we've been looking at practical ways of being rather than just doing. So being in the state of wudu, being present whilst you're washing your limbs, being present while you're contemplating the rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for your wudu. Also looking at the practical ways of bringing yourself into Allah's presence during the salah. So that's what we've been looking at. Obviously this is a longer term piece of work, but I hope that you've been realizing the benefits of really trying to focus and be present in your forms of worship over the last couple of days. Maybe one of the things that you've noticed by doing this is thoughts that come into the mind are quite frequent, and multitasking, a distraction, takes us away sometimes from these thoughts. Sometimes it's a way of getting us away from uncomfortable feelings, and actually multitasking is actually impossible. You know, we looked at functional MRI scans, and what happens is that your attention just flits very, very quickly between two things at one time. So the debate between the genders is finished, really. There's no multitasking. People can just flit from one thing to another quicker than others. So sometimes it's very good for the body and for the mind to regulate itself in terms of staying away from unwanted feelings, from anxiety. You know, if you think about the homeostasis of our bodies, you know, we don't want our pH to be any other than 7.4. We don't want our glucose to be outside of between 4 and 11 millimoles per litre. But sometimes when it comes to our mind, we avoid things which actually is probably more useful that we contemplate on, and maybe things that we need to address. The third aspect of mindfulness, or the category of mindfulness that we were talking about, or that we outlined a couple of videos ago, was isolation or retreat. And this is a sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. كان يتحنث في غار حراء. He used to, the hanatha, these root letters are to do with shirk, to commit shirk with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, polytheism. In this form of the verb, yatahannuth, it means to yatajannub, to stay away from shirk. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to go to the cave of Hira and contemplate on creation, contemplate on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and in this way was less distracted from the world around him, so that he could focus before the message came to him, sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. And he mentioned times when distractions were possible, so when there was music being played down in the valley in Mecca, and he would go out to the side of the mountain, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would bring a sleep over him to avoid any distraction from his connection with his Lord. So this is one time in the Prophet's life, alayhi salatu wasalam, when he went into isolation or retreat. Other times they were forced isolation. I guess the hijrah to Abyssinia was a type of forced hijrah, and the lockdown, as it's being called, is a type of forced isolation. And I think in these times people are starting to get to know themselves better in some ways, and also feel some of the emotions that they experience they might be distracting from during their working life or their busy lives at other times. And so this is why we're seeing a raised anxiety levels in people, and we're seeing domestic abuse, and we're seeing violence happening, and there's no distractions around. So we're in a forced isolation. We're in the month of Ramadan. I'tikaf is an isolation within an isolation. So this is something that we can do, but it's definitely, for a Muslim, something very, very useful to do within one's life. So if you haven't done any type of retreat before, then perhaps use this time and make your intention for a type of isolation or retreat. Clearly, as Muslims, we're social beings, and there's many hadith about interactions with our brothers and sisters, and the mu'amala, and having good suhbah. But there's also time to retreat as well. And it's interesting that Imam Ghazali radiallahu anhu puts his two books, the book of Suhbah and the book of Uzla, right next to each other. There's a time for one and a time for another. So what I would say today is make your intentions for this lockdown time to become a type of retreat for you to be in a state of being with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to have that hifz with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to start to notice all those things that we distract ourselves with, and what are we distracting ourselves from. I'd just like to read you a poem by Jalaluddin al-Rumi, rahimahullah radiyan, and this is called The Guest House. This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival. A joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. Even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture, still treat each guest honourably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whatever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to have an understanding of our emotions and our joys, our depressions, our meanness. These are all from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah guide us to what is best for us. May Allah keep us on the straight path. May Allah accept your fasting and your prayers and your good actions. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.